The year was 1882, and the Arizona Territory stretched endlessly under a merciless sun. Along a dusty trail connecting scattered frontier settlements, something extraordinary was about to unfold. A moment that would challenge everything white settlers believed about the Apache people they had been taught to fear. Thomas McKinnon guided his weathered wagon along the rutted path, the wooden wheels creaking rhythmically against the packed earth. His calloused hands gripped the leather reins as his two horses plodded steadily toward the town of Prescott. The 53-year-old farmer had risen before dawn to make this journey, his wagon loaded with sacks of wheat and corn from his modest homestead. The desert landscape rolled past in waves of bronze and amber, punctuated by towering saguaro cacti that stood like ancient sentinels against the cloudless sky. McKinnon was a man shaped by frontier hardship. His weathered face told the story of 5 years spent carving out a life in the Arizona wilderness after fleeing the painful memories of his dead wife and daughter back in Missouri. As the wagon rounded a bend where the trail curved around a massive boulder formation, McKinnon's horses suddenly snorted and shied. He pulled back on the reins, calming the animals as his eyes scanned the path ahead. Then he spotted her. Crumpled beside a cluster of prickly pear cacti, barely visible among the shadows cast by desert vegetation, lay a small figure. McKinnon's heart lurched as he realized it was a child, and from the distinctive clothing and long black hair, clearly an Apache girl. She couldn't have been more than 12 or 13 years old, her slight frame motionless against the reddish earth. His first instinct was caution. Finding an Apache child alone could mean an ambush waited nearby. But as he watched the motionless figure, caution gave way to concern. The child hadn't moved since his arrival, and something about her stillness suggested desperate need rather than danger. Slowly, McKinnon climbed down from his wagon and approached with careful steps. Up close, the full extent of her condition became heartbreakingly clear. The Apache girl was unconscious, her breathing shallow and labored. Her traditional doeskin dress was torn and stained with dust and dried blood. Her bare feet were cut and bleeding, suggesting she had walked tremendous distances over rough terrain. Most telling of all, her face was gaunt with hunger, her cheeks hollow and her lips cracked from dehydration. McKinnon knelt beside her, checking her pulse, weak but steady. This was not a child who posed any threat. She was severely malnourished and dehydrated, but still alive. Looking at her peaceful face, stripped of consciousness, and the harsh lines of suffering, she appeared even more childlike and vulnerable. The farmer glanced back at his wagon, loaded with grain bound for market in Prescott. He thought of the business waiting for him, the money he needed to keep his operation running. Then he looked down at the unconscious child at his feet, and the choice became clear. Moving quickly but gently, McKinnon scooped the girl into his arms. She weighed almost nothing, her slight frame feeling fragile as dried twigs. He carried her to his wagon and carefully laid her between the grain sacks, cushioning her head with his spare jacket. From beneath the wagon seat, he retrieved water and bread, tearing off small pieces and soaking them in water to create a soft paste. McKinnon cradled her head and gently parted her lips, allowing drops of water to fall onto her tongue. For long moments, nothing happened. Then her throat convulsed as survival instincts kicked in, and she swallowed. Drop by drop, he coaxed her body back toward consciousness. After what felt like hours, the girl's eyelids fluttered. Her eyes opened slowly, revealing dark brown irises that seemed to hold depths of suffering no child should have experienced. For a moment, she stared up at McKinnon without comprehension. Then awareness crept into her expression, followed quickly by fear. She tried to pull away, but her weakened state made the movement feeble. McKinnon spoke softly, his voice carrying the gentle tone he used with frightened animals. He held up the water-soaked bread, and the girl's eyes fixed on it with desperate hunger. After a moment's hesitation, she allowed him to feed her. As she ate, tears slid down her dusty cheeks, not tears of sadness, but of relief so profound it found expression in the only way her exhausted body could manage. When McKinnon pointed to himself and said, "Thomas," the girl whispered quietly, "Ayana." Instead of continuing to Prescott, McKinnon made a decision that would change both their lives. He turned his wagon around, sacrificing his market day to take the child to his farm, where he could provide proper care while figuring out her future. The journey to McKinnon's homestead took 3 hours. The farm was modest, a simple wooden house surrounded by a barn, chicken coop, and fields of corn and wheat stretching into the distance. McKinnon helped the weak girl into his home, preparing nourishing soup while she cleaned herself with the water and soap he provided. As they shared their first meal together in companionable silence, McKinnon studied his unexpected guest. Cleaned up and with some color returning to her cheeks, Ayana was clearly a beautiful child with delicate features and expressive eyes. But more than her appearance, there was something about her bearing that suggested inner strength and resilience. Despite everything she had endured, she retained dignity and self-possession that spoke to an unbroken spirit. That night, as McKinnon settled Ayana in his late daughter's bedroom, she surprised him by speaking in carefully pronounced English. "Thank you." The gratitude in her dark eyes held depths of emotion that seemed far too mature for her young face. The next morning brought complications. 3 men rode up to the farmhouse, 2 neighbors and a territorial deputy sheriff. Word had spread about McKinnon's unusual houseguest. Jake Morrison, a tall rancher with graying hair, served as spokesman. "Tom, we need to talk. Word is you got yourself an Apache girl staying here. That true?" McKinnon kept his voice calm. "I found a child in need of help. Seemed like the Christian thing to do." Bill Crawford, a stocky man with an aggressive manner, spoke with obvious agitation. "Christian thing? Tom, that's an Apache. Her people have been raiding and killing white folks for years. You're putting all of us at risk." Deputy Marshal Williams consulted his notebook. "Mr. McKinnon, there have been reports of Apache raiders in this area recently. A cavalry patrol hit a group of hostiles about 3 weeks ago. This girl might be connected to that incident." Morrison nodded vigorously. "Could be she's here as a spy. These Apache are crafty. They'd think nothing of using a child for such purposes." McKinnon felt anger rising but forced himself to remain calm. "Gentlemen, look at her. Does she look like a spy? She's a half-starved child who nearly died in the desert." The deputy held up his hand. "Mr. McKinnon, this child needs to be turned over to proper authorities. There are procedures for dealing with Indian children found off reservations." "And what would those procedures involve?" McKinnon asked. "She'd be taken to the Indian agent at the reservation. They'd try to locate her family or find appropriate placement among her own people." McKinnon had heard enough stories about reservation conditions to know that such placement might be little better than a death sentence for a child with no family protection. "And if I were to refuse?" McKinnon asked quietly. The deputy's expression grew serious. "Sir, harboring hostile Indians is a federal offense. I wouldn't want to arrest you, but I will if necessary." Looking at Ayana's frightened face, McKinnon knew he couldn't take the easy path. "Deputy Williams, I found this child dying in the desert. She's no threat to anyone, and I won't be party to sending her somewhere that might cause further harm. If you want to take her, you'll have to arrest me first." After several tense minutes, Deputy Williams reached a compromise. "Mr. McKinnon, I'll give you 3 days to make arrangements. If you can find a solution that satisfies all parties, I'll consider the matter closed. But if not, I'll have to take official action." That evening, McKinnon tried to explain the situation to Ayana in simple terms. Her limited English proved sufficient for basic communication. "The men today want to take you away," McKinnon said gently. "They think you should go to the reservation, but I'm not sure that's best for you." Ayana's dark eyes met his. "Reservation is place of death. My grandfather told stories. People there forget how to be Apache. They become shadows." The next morning brought an unexpected visitor, Father Miguel Santos from the Catholic mission in Tucson. The small, weathered priest with kind eyes had heard about Ayana and come to help. "Mr. McKinnon, I am here to help, not cause problems. May I meet the child?" Father Santos approached Ayana with gentle deference, speaking to her in fluent Apache. The girl's eyes widened with surprise and relief at hearing her native tongue. After an animated conversation, the priest turned to McKinnon with a possible solution. The mission operates a school for Apache children. We have authority to care for children in need, regardless of tribal affiliation. If the child were officially enrolled as a student, the government would have no grounds for interference. McKinnon felt hope for the first time since the deputy's visit. What kind of school? We teach reading and writing in English and Spanish, but we also honor Apache traditions and language. Many of our teachers are Apache themselves, people who have learned to bridge both worlds. When asked what she thought, Ayana considered carefully. If I go to school, can I still be Apache? My child, being Apache is not something that can be taken from you by attending school. It is who you are, in your heart and blood. The school will help you learn new skills while honoring the wisdom of your ancestors. Ayana nodded slowly. And if I learn these new things, perhaps I can help my people when I am older. That is exactly right. Education is a tool. In the right hands, it can protect and provide for those you love. After careful consideration, Ayana made her decision. You have been kind to me, Thomas, like a father when I had no father. But I think this school might be a good place for me to grow strong. McKinnon felt his throat tighten with unexpected emotion. If that's what you want, then we'll make it happen. But you should know you'll always have a place here. This will always be your home too. Father Santos suggested that visits between them would be possible, which brightened both their faces considerably. 2 days later, Father Santos returned with official paperwork and transportation. Deputy Williams arrived to oversee the transfer, his manner more relaxed now that a peaceful solution had been found. As the wagon prepared to depart, the moment of parting arrived. Both McKinnon and Ayana struggled with emotions they hadn't fully anticipated. Remember, McKinnon said as he helped her into the wagon, you always have a home here. Whenever you need it, for whatever reason, you come back. Ayana nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. I will not forget. You saved my life, but more than that, you showed me that not all white people are enemies. That is a gift I will carry always. The weeks that followed brought letters from Ayana describing her remarkable progress at the mission school. She proved to be an exceptional student, mastering reading and writing with speed while helping younger children adjust. Her letters spoke of teachers who respected her heritage while preparing her for life in a changing world. McKinnon found his own life permanently changed by his brief time as Ayana's protector. The experience had awakened a sense of purpose beyond simple survival. He began involving himself in community affairs, speaking up on issues affecting relations between settlers and Apache people. Regular visits began 3 months later. Ayana would spend school holidays at the farm, and McKinnon would attend school programs where she often performed traditional dances or recited pieces she had written. Their relationship evolved into a genuine father-daughter bond that transcended racial boundaries. Years passed, and Ayana grew into a remarkable young woman. She completed her education with highest honors, then attended Teachers College in California. True to her childhood dreams, she returned to Arizona as a certified teacher, dedicating her life to helping Apache children navigate their complex world. When Ayana married a young Apache man who shared her vision, McKinnon walked her down the aisle at a ceremony blending Apache customs with contemporary traditions. The marriage produced 3 children who grew up knowing McKinnon as their grandfather, visiting his farm regularly and learning the same practical skills he had taught their mother. As McKinnon entered his final years, he reflected often on that morning when he found a starving Apache girl beside a desert trail. That moment of choosing compassion over fear had shaped the remainder of his life in ways he could never have imagined. What began as simple Christian charity had blossomed into a family relationship that enriched his life immeasurably. When McKinnon passed away peacefully at 78, he was surrounded by the family he never expected to have, Ayana, her husband, and their children. His funeral was attended by Apache people from across the Southwest. come to honor a white man who had proven that friendship was possible even in unlikely circumstances. Ayana inherited the farm, maintaining it as both a working ranch and a symbol of the bridge her adoptive father had built between cultures. She often brought students there for field trips, using the farmhouse as a classroom to teach about the power of individual courage to change hearts and minds. The story of the Apache girl and the white farmer became a legend passed down through generations of both communities, serving as a reminder that even in times of conflict, there are always individuals willing to choose compassion over fear, understanding over prejudice. In the end, what began as a chance encounter on a dusty trail became a testament to the transformative power of human kindness. Thomas McKinnon had given Ayana more than food and shelter. He had given her hope, opportunity, and the knowledge that goodness could be found in the most unexpected places. Ayana repaid that gift by becoming everything McKinnon had seen in her during those first difficult days. A bridge between cultures, a voice for her people, and living proof that one person's courage to do the right thing could change the world, one life at a time.